Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1. Good vibrations. I'm making this video on Field Day Eve, Friday, the 24th of June, 2016. Chances are excellent that by the time you see this, Field Day will be over, so I'm not going to offer any advice to you for Field Day, except remember it with great fondness. I remember one particular Field Day, though, that I think I can probably leave this video up indefinitely, because it was an unforgettable event. It occurred a little later in June, after the 24th. This year is the 25th and 26th, but what happened basically was that on June 24th, 1971, at about 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 5 p.m., a dark thunderstorm bore down on the town of Rochester, Minnesota, and they warned us of gusty winds after the town had passed through Byron with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But the instant that storm struck, I knew that it was going to be something a little bit more than 50 miles an hour. First thing I did was to run outside and see how my ham radio antenna was doing on the roof. I was only 17 years old. Ran outside in the backyard to check on the antenna. It was a 17-foot, 20-meter vertical with radials laid down all over the roof, made out of steel conduit and guide 10 feet above the ground, leaving 7 feet above that. Guide with nylon rope. That thing was hardly even moving. When I came back into the house, one of the neighbor's trees had split down the middle. And that was before it even started to rain. When the rain came, that storm bore down with something on the order of 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Some people say that it may have been, in places, gusting as high as 130 miles an hour. It lasted about 20 minutes. One of the darkest thunderstorms I've ever seen, and I call it a thunderstorm, but if there was any thunder, we couldn't hear it. The wind was too loud. But what that storm did, had just begun getting the trailers ready out at Assisi Heights, the convent in Rochester, Minnesota, on top of the hill in northwest Rochester. Many of the sisters at that place, called the Mother House, were radio hams, and they let us use their apple orchard. Well, one of those trailers was rolled down the hill by that wind, and it kind of set us back a little bit, but that's what Field Day is all about, is it not? The aftermath of a disaster, or on occasion, sometimes you can even operate from inside the disaster. I don't think too many radio hams were operating during this particular storm, however. It was not a derecho. It was a plain, simple, unusually strong Bo Ecker. Bo Ecker. That sounds like the name of some new popular country music star. Hey, this is Bo Ecker from you. Coming from you to me. From the black holes of Dakota Territory, United States of amateur radio. Warning you that if a thunder shower or a thunderstorm like that bears down on you during Field Day, get out of those trailers. Seek shelter somewhere, even if you have to go out and just lie flat on the ground. But that was a pretty significant storm, and I'll never forget it. It just ripped every tree in Rochester, Minnesota, almost every tree in one way or another. The most intense storm I ever experienced in my life until Hurricane Andrew in 1992. That was a different animal. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Hope you didn't get rolled down a trailer in your field day experience, rolled down the hill in a trailer. But if you did, I'm sure you'll never do it again. There was nobody in that trailer when it happened. And field day that year, as I recall, was a really good one. The weather was fine. Good luck. Have fun. Don't forget to barbecue. Next field day, if it's too late for this one. Stan Gibilisco signing off, saying 73, which means best regards and so long. Which, although sent in CW by this fist in every QSO that's not in a contest, anybody who sends da-da-da-da-da, that's da-da-da-da-da in a contest, ought to be Mahamaruda hit you over the head.